Greetings, America, or should I say the five or six of you that take the time to watch my videos. I'm going to make a conscious effort to make these a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to watch, a little more manageable. That being said, I had a video, it was in the editing process, I was getting ready to post it, and then some things have happened like they do, and it basically motivated me to make a different video. With everything going on, this video will be dedicated to COVID 19 slash coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. So I believe this is episode 7 of Let's Talk. Bit of a bittersweet, solemn occasion here. Last episode of Supernatural is filming, or it's not filming, it's going to air tonight in about an hour or so. So, wife and I are getting ready to watch that. Um, So as I was saying, this episode of Let's Talk is dedicated to COVID-19, the coronavirus. Um, so with the pending results of the election, which as of right now, President Trump hasn't conceded. So I don't know if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the legally elected president and vice president. But with so many governors and elected leaders um, committing to him becoming president, there's been a lot of rumor and speculation of future shutdowns, quarantine, lockdowns, whatever you want to call them. And whether true or not, um, if it does come to fruition, I don't know if that's the way forward due to the potential impacts. Case in point, I am completely unemployed as of my wife's birthday, um, which was almost 2 months ago, as of late August. And I was originally furloughed as of the result of COVID, but without getting into specifics, the client that employed us in some way, shape, or form took advantage of an opportunity with COVID, and essentially one thing led to another, and we lost our jobs. Now, if and when we do get to go back to work, we have to basically get retrained to kind of knock the cobwebs out. For the most part, that's supposed to take place in Virginia, and rumor has it the Virginia governor is completely locking down that state. So, again, COVID still continues to impact my livelihood. And here's why I bring it up. Um, my question and the overall topic of this episode is, what is the real information? Are we getting the real information, or has one side been playing on the fears of people and catering to their fears and playing on their confirmation bias? Have they been embellishing facts? Have they been distorting how facts are presented? And has one side been doing a similar tactic, but just the opposite? And I think we, as the voters, as the non elected people, we need to demand that our elected officials do exactly what they are elected to do: represent us, represent our desires and our wishes. They need to understand they're in a position to represent us. Remember, our freedom is inherently ours. We've created governments and elected people to preserve our freedom. And with some of these rumors of these projected shutdowns, that is nothing more than tyranny at its finest. So I'm very curious to see what people think. And just to kind of give you some talking points, right? I did some real simple research on Google, and I went through to try to find the most vetted sites for information. And what I came up with was, here in the United States, there's 11,600,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 250,000 deaths, which makes the U.S. survival rate 97.84% and the death rate 2.16%. Again, I am not putting down or making light of anybody who has been adversely affected by COVID, whether somebody died in their family, somebody near and dear to them, or somebody who has survived but has had some long-term everlasting effects. Worldwide, 55,928,327 confirmed cases, with 1,344,003 deaths, making the world survivability rate 97.6%, so just slightly lower than the US survival rate. And the world death rate is at about 2.4%, so just slightly higher than the US rate. Now, the CDC reports 94% of COVID 19 deaths had underlying conditions, which would mean of the roughly 250,000 Americans, somewhere in the ballpark of 235,000 had some sort of a pre existing condition. Again, not making light of the situation, just discussing actual facts. And again, in accordance with CDC and the World Health Organization, most people will have mild symptoms and get better on their own, but about 1 in 6 will have severe problems such as trouble breathing. The odds of more serious symptoms are higher if you're older or have health conditions like diabetes, asthma, or heart disease. So again, you know, is our reaction proportionate? And again, not all of us are actually in a position to make actions. We're talking about our elected officials and subsequently law enforcement who is forced to uphold those actions. And part of my concern is the domino effect, the snowball effect that will happen, if you will, where how many other businesses will be forced to shut down, in which case you create this sense of dependency where people like myself even are now in a position where we're not generating income. So then, therefore, we're going to need the government to provide us with stimulus checks, assistance. And there's been a lot of discussion of that, especially from, let's say, the Democratic Party. Oh, no, we're going to be there to help. And my question is, really? Because are you going to cover the wages I made? Are you going to, are you going to go through and like look at W-2s and whatnot and provide me in the form of a stimulus check with an equal to or greater than or slightly less than amount of money that I was making, which covered my bills, which made my ends meet? I could keep the lights on, keep the water running, keep the air conditioning flowing or the heat flowing, pay for groceries, sustain my way of life. Am I going to have to rely on the government to come through with that? Because what I made is nobody's business, and how I live is nobody's business, other than to say I was living within my means based on the job that I had. So now, if I'm going to be forced to rely on the government because the government's going to start shutting down businesses, well, what, the naysayers are going to be like, well, you should get one of those jobs that, people need, an essential job. It's like, well, that's very easy to say, especially if you're somebody who has an essential job. But what about those of us that don't have what is considered to be an essential job? And I'll go even further. If this stimulus, if this government assistance comes from a bank like the Treasury, okay, so you're going to start making all these withdrawals. Who's replenishing it? All right, if a vast majority of us are out of work, then we're not generating income tax. And I don't know about you, but I pay quite a bit in income tax by comparison. Therefore, who's going to be replenishing that account after all of those withdrawals? Or what's the consequence? Is federal sales tax going to skyrocket? If you go to buy something for 99 cents, are you going to have to pay 75 cents in federal sales tax just to replenish what's going out? When this pandemic does eventually reach its climax and we can all start going back to work, are we going to be forced to replenish that mythical account that everybody's been funded from with like belligerently ridiculous taxes? I mean, I don't know. And hopefully somebody watching this video has the answer and can maybe break it down, whether you see me in person if you're local and you want to talk to me without putting your name out there. That's fine. I welcome the response because I don't know that more shutdowns are the answer. I mean, I just read those facts, and it sounds like it's a very highly survivable virus. It just is what it is. Now, look, I get it. I understand. A friend of mine's wife is a doctor. Hang on, dog's got to go out. And the dogs are out. As I was saying, a friend of mine's wife is a doctor, and she had explained to me that One of the most unique things with COVID, other than the fact that it's primarily an animal strain of flu, but it migrated over to the human side of things, is that most people can come into contact with somebody exhibiting flu-like symptoms, and therefore, if you catch the flu within 24 hours, you yourself are presenting symptoms. It's obvious that you've contracted the flu. The unfortunate case with COVID-19 is that you can contract it and not show any signs or symptoms for as much as 2 weeks. But during that 2 week period, while you've contracted it, you are also equally contagious. And because we don't currently have any antibodies or developed an immunity to it, whether that's herd immunity or whatever the case may be, um, it's that much more contagious. And this is what I'm talking about. I want real answers. I don't want politicized answers. And I think it's belligerently disgusting that politicians on either side have politicized this. And it's not a matter of picking a side. It's a simple matter of what is the actual truth. It is this doomsday apocalyptic virus that requires us to take drastic measures and treat each other like they did hundreds of years ago with leprosy, or it's a form of the flu. It's a completely different form of the flu, but we have to learn to deal with it. We have to learn to overcome it. And again, I hate the fact that it's been so politicized. I hate the fact that, the pandemic itself has had any part to play in our current politics, to include if it had any impact on people's voting. And I understand, for some people, situation dependent, it is an extremely emotional issue. Look, my wife and I lost a son. I understand personal impacts. I get it. But there's a much bigger picture here. There's severe consequences at play here. And if there is a projected new round of lockdowns, of quarantines, or whatever you want to call them, I don't know that that's the way forward. Because if it didn't work last time, why is it going to work now? And again, not to overstate the obvious, but if we're testing more and more, you will get more and more results. That's just the truth. But why don't we talk about the survivability rates? Why are we only focusing on the negative? And I think the only reason for that is Joe Rogan said it best. If it bleeds, it leads. Something catastrophe sells. Nobody wants to hear good news. Nobody wants to talk about the positive. And again, not to repeat myself, but the fact that we've politicized this thing is disgusting. We need real information. We need real facts. We need a proportionate response. We need a response that accommodates everybody. And I don't think locking us down, businesses going out of business, government subsidies, I don't think that's the answer. But if you have a difference in opinion, if you're an economist and you know the answer, please leave a comment. Let me know. Explain it to me. I don't care. As far as everybody else goes, you know the deal. Hit the notification bell, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Again, I don't really care about the money. It's a platform for me to vent, and ultimately, I just want to stimulate conversations and be civil with one another. We don't have to agree politically. We don't even have to agree about any of the issues I bring up, but let's talk. That's all I got.
Hey guys, I promised to make some more videos. I've had a lot of topics go through my mind, and if nothing else, it's a place for me to selfishly vent. But for those of you that do provide responses from time to time, whether in person, on Facebook, Instagram, or leaving comments on YouTube, I do appreciate it. I do have some responses I got to make, and I have some other topics, as well as I got to finish a previous video I made. So hang tight and look forward to it. See you soon.